You were not born great. Greatness is expensive. Someone else always pays for it. You were born into stone. Cold walls, cold floors, cold expectations. Stone that remembered other rulers. Stone that had already learned obedience. Your cradle stood closer to a map than to a mother, closer to borders than to lullabies. Your first lessons were not spoken, they were absorbed, by the way adults lowered their voices near you, by the way servants avoided your eyes, by the way your presence rearranged rooms. Your name mattered before you understood words. Your blood mattered more than your thoughts ever would. You learned this early. You were taught posture before empathy, silence before curiosity, control before understanding. You were taught to stand straight, to stay silent, to listen when older men spoke about land like it was missing furniture, something that belonged to you, even if it was full of other people. They didn't call it stealing, they called it inheritance. Inheritance sounds clean, inheritance sounds earned, inheritance hides fingerprints. Your first stories were not fairy tales, they were victories. Victories where the hero always wore your colors. Victories where maps changed quietly overnight. Victories where the dead were numbers, not names. Consequences were edited out. Consequences complicate pride. You learned that history is written in past tense, and pain doesn't survive grammar. Your world was small, a castle, a chapel, a training yard, stone corridors that taught echoes to obey, windows designed to look out, not in. But the map was large and unfinished. The map was never complete. That made it dangerous. Blank spaces make rulers nervous. Blank spaces invite questions. Questions invite weakness. You were told God likes order. Order likes borders. Borders like discipline. Discipline likes force. No one used the ugly words. They never do. Ugly words make clean hands uncomfortable. Your tutor spoke about honor. Your general spoke about timing. Timing wins wars. Honor writes excuses. You listened to the generals. Honor doesn't move borders. You didn't learn to fight first. You learned to command. You learned where to stand so others would step forward, where to pause so silence would pressure men into action. That's leadership. You learned that hesitation looks like doubt, and doubt smells like replacement. When your father died, the room didn't cry. It calculated who would kneel, who would resist, who would wait. Grief was postponed. There was work to do. You wore black. You inherited weight, not just a crown, not just a title, expectation, momentum, a machine already moving. Your first order was simple: secure what is ours. No one explained why it was yours. That was unnecessary. Explanation invites debate. Debate slows action. Men rode out. You stayed. Distance protects conscience. Reports came back clean. They always do. Villages were described as pacified, fields as secured, people as relocated. Deaths were passive constructions. Suffering had no subject. Language is a shield. You learned that distance is power. If you don't see it, you don't feel it. If you don't feel it, you don't hesitate. If you don't hesitate, you are called decisive. Gold arrived faster than questions. Gold always does. Gold smells like approval. You built walls. Walls keep enemies out and silence in. They cheered when you appeared, not because they loved you, because you were predictable. Predictability is mercy in unstable times. Uncertainty costs more blood. You learned to repeat yourself. Routines calm populations. You married strategically. Love is unreliable. Land is not. Your wife became a border treaty with a face, a symbol that breathed. You learned not to look too closely. Details ruin necessity. Children were born, heirs, not people. They were measured in potential, in continuity, in insurance against chaos. You loved them the way rulers love, as reassurance. Your enemies were named carefully: barbarians, rebels, traitors, never neighbors, never farmers, never fathers. Naming turns humans into problems. You didn't hate them. Hate is personal. This was administrative. You learned that fear ages better than gratitude. Gratitude fades when taxes rise. Fear adapts. Fear doesn't ask for explanations. Church bells rang when you won. They rang when you lost, too. Sound doesn't judge. You donated to faith generously. Faith donated legitimacy back, a fair exchange. Priests blessed banners. Banners hid intentions. God stayed neutral. Neutrality is useful. You never said you were chosen. Others said it for you. That's how you know it's working. Your name started traveling faster than you, carried by messengers, by rumors, by threats. Songs were written. Songs don't include footnotes. They don't mention logistics. They don't mention hunger. They sang about unity, not about absence. They never sing about absence. Years passed. Borders moved. Maps were redrawn. Ink replaced blood. People adapted or disappeared from records. Records prefer obedience. You learned the most important lesson of rule. Survival looks like agreement. The peasants bowed lower each year, some out of respect, most out of memory. Memory of what happens otherwise. You didn't break them, you wore them down. That's more efficient. Broken things need replacing. Worn things stay. You built cities. Cities hide scars better than villages. Stone forgives rulers. Wood remembers fires. You commissioned statues. Statues don't argue. They don't contradict. They don't age. Children learned your name before they learned counting. That's immortality. At night, you didn't dream of screams. You dreamed of gaps, uncontrolled spaces, unloyal families, unfinished work. Victory never feels complete. It just gets quieter. Silence is never empty. It's waiting. Your council grew cautious. Caution is the first sign of decay. They spoke of limits, of rest, of consolidation.
You replaced them. You trusted ambition more than wisdom. Ambition moves faster. Wisdom asks why. When resistance appeared, you didn't crush it loudly. You isolated it. Isolation teaches faster than terror. Silence spreads fear better than spectacle. Your methods were copied. That's how you know you're successful. Your allies feared you slightly more than your enemies. Perfect balance. Fear keeps treaties honest. You grew older. Your hands shook sometimes. Your decisions didn't. History calls this maturity. Your body called it cost. Your sons watched you closely. They learned posture. They learned tone. They learned how to enter rooms. They did not learn restraint. Restraint looks like weakness when victory is inherited. You told them stories of struggle. You left out the comfort. Comfort doesn't inspire loyalty. Your final campaigns felt heavier, not because they were harder, because you knew they wouldn't end anything. Empires don't finish. They pause. When illness came, it was quiet. No battlefield drama, no banners, just weakness. Weakness is embarrassing for conquerors. You died surrounded by symbols, not people. Crowns, seals, documents. Symbols don't need comfort. Bells rang, the same bells. Chroniclers worked fast. They polished sentences. They smoothed edges. They turned pressure into purpose, routine into destiny. They named you Ludwig the Conqueror, not Ludwig the Calculator, not Ludwig the Patient, not Ludwig the Necessary. They carved your legacy in stone. Stone lasts longer than truth. They will argue about you later. Scholars, men with clean hands and soft chairs. They will ask whether you were cruel or necessary, strong or simply lucky. They will forget the pressure, the constant fear of weakness, the knowledge that hesitation invites replacement. Rulers are not allowed to pause. They will say you had choices. They always say that. They won't talk about momentum, about how power keeps moving, even when the man holding it wants to stop. You were not steering history. You were holding it in place with both hands, trying not to be crushed underneath. They will say you shaped your era. Your era shaped you first. Every decision removed one future and locked in another. Every victory reduced options. Power narrows paths. They will look for intention, for evil, for greatness. They will miss the routine, the repetition, the machinery. You didn't wake up wanting more land. You woke up needing stability. Stability demanded obedience. Obedience demanded enforcement. The chain was already built. They will judge you by outcomes, not by constraints. That's how history stays comfortable. Your name will survive longer than your doubts, longer than your fatigue, longer than your moments of hesitation. One day, even your name will become a chapter title, shorter than your reign, cleaner than your reality. That is the final conquest. Not land, not people, meaning. You won. The borders held. The land stayed quiet, too quiet. And somewhere beneath the fields, beneath the roads, beneath the churches, the price remained, buried, silent, patient, waiting for the next name.